controversy, upsets, movies, apparently. It's all here, and it's all the Oscars, and it's all next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 89th Annual Academy Awards coverage here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. I'm not alone. I'm joined to my immediate left by Joelle, who I should just point out, you were in the hallway, you had seen the whole thing, and you...
After the ending, I had to rush in here. I was like, I got a fancy scarf. I'm going to try to match these two beautiful people that I sit in between like a fool. I'm so excited to be here, though, because what a crazy night. I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
And hey, I'm Zoe Hewitt. You can find me at Real Zoe Hewitt. That's ZOEHEWITT on Twitter and Instagram. And also, I was at the Night of 100 Stars viewing party earlier this evening, so maybe we'll have some chance to talk about that too.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully. Typically speaking, I would start at the top and we'd work our way to the back.
Yes.
We cannot do that tonight.
This was not a typical Oscars.
This was the antithesis to any other Oscar awards I've ever seen, so we have to start at the top with Best Picture.
Yes, we do.
The Academy Award for Best Picture was between 9 films. If you were to follow any sports books around, and I'll just check them, I do have graphics with that up. We do. So, if you were to be on any of those sports books this morning up until right before the Oscars started, if you had bet $6 on La La Land, you would have won $1. That's how big a favorite La La Land was among a field of 9 movies. Second was Moonlight, 4-1.
Wow.
La La Land was announced the winner by Warren Beatty.
Sure
well, not technically by Warren Beatty. You're all watching it. You all saw it.
Yeah.
He was handed, as far as we can tell, Emma Stone's envelope from the category before. He saw Emma Stone. He saw La La Land. He froze.
Yes.
Because I think he was well aware it was the wrong envelope, and he just didn't know what to say, because then you'd throw someone under the bus. What if and not to mention those odds.
La La Land is likely to have won.
We're like running an hour over.
Yeah.
All these things.
Live TV, and he didn't want to say, excuse me, I have the wrong envelope.
Let's check.
I'm pretty sure I have the wrong envelope. And to be fair, he was probably thinking him first. Because let's say he misunderstood the envelope.
Right.
Yeah.
And La La Land was the winner, as we all thought the winner would be heading into tonight. And he then looks like a crazy old man screwing up the Oscars. The Best Picture nomination from the Oscars. I was
doing that thing where people get envelopes and they're like, oh, who is it? I was like, you don't have to be a douche right now, bro. Just say it. Like,
yes.
I need to know. And then, like, to hear him come back out with the story and be like, oh, no, I just wasn't sure because the envelope was wrong. I was like, this is Steve Harvey all over again. This is a mess.
I was shocked, you guys. I was sitting there. I don't know if you've seen it yet. So all of a sudden you see, right, La La Land they're giving the speech, right?
God.
And then I see a guy come out with a headset, and I see his little tag, and it's like, something's wrong
Those
here.
people don't accept Oscars.
They don't get up there. And Steve was like right next to me, and I was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And he comes next to me, and I was like, something's wrong. And I'm like freaking out.
The AfterBuzz studio had a complete meltdown. Usually we listen to TVs with headphones. We had to turn up the volume so we could all watch around one TV and be like, decipher what was happening. This is maybe the craziest live moment since the Janet Jackson boob scandal.
Which AfterBuzz TV did not exist during that. This was our first.
Yes.
So they announce La La Land as the Best Picture winner.
They do.
Everyone involved in La La Land walks out there, as they assumed they would. They're one of the 9 Best Picture winners. They're nominated 14 times.
Look at that spread. They looked way advanced.
Yeah.
You look at the sportsbook odds, like they'd won the BAFTA. Like they had swept most of the awards heading into this night. They had no reason to think this, and whoever the failsafe would have been, which I doubt even existed, whoever that failsafe would have been to stop them from essentially I'll call it the Kanye contingency. I'll go with that. I think the Academy Awards are civilized enough that nobody has a Kanye contingency, especially when the presenter names a winner, an odds-on favorite winner.
And the presenter is so well respected. It's not like these two are like right off the turn-up truck out on Hollywood Boulevard that they picked up. I mean, we're talking Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway.
This is...
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it happened. And what a crazy moment for them to be like, and diversity and inclusion. And then for Moonlight to come up with an all-black like cast and crew, I was like, this is hot mess. Like, this is stuff that should just never have happened.
Question.
Yes.
Do we think this was an intentional publicity stunt and or jokey thing by the people who produced the Academy Awards on TV to get us talking about it, to get everyone talking about it?
Look, I can't say whether it was or wasn't, but Twitter did literally explode afterwards. So if it was, well played. No, like, people want to be mad about it. I've seen people be like, I can't believe they would do this. Like, how awful. And yes, it's awful for La La Land to go up there to think you've won, to start giving an acceptance speech for something you didn't win. Like, that leaves a foul taste in your mouth. On the other hand, it's a business. And the Oscars have been flailing for a minute with, like, what kind of host? Do we need to get the young people? Do we need to get, like, the best people? Like, they're not quite sure what their tone should be. And so if media, like, craziness is what they need, I think it'll work. I'll definitely be doing it next year.
I don't know what kind of metrics ratings-wise they think they need. Because for a show on Sunday night on ABC, that's about as best as it's going to get. Like, if you're ABC and you don't have the Super Bowl... They don't have the Super Bowl. If you're ABC and you don't have the Super Bowl, this is it. Like, this is live appointment, big deal television, triple, quadruple, probably, I don't know these numbers, probably a lot more than, like, let's say the Tonys.
Yeah. Oh, definitely more than the Tonys.
But it's so if this was a publicity stunt by ABC or Jimmy Kimmel or the production company Jimmy Kimmel comes along with, or just the Academy in general, it's in poor taste and they're going to eat it this whole week and for the next 12 months.
Well, I have mixed feelings, you guys, because, so from a personal standpoint, if this was planned, it was cruel. I don't like it from, like, a human level. They were up there, they were making a speech. It gives me the ickies, you know? Like, I can't even think of the right word because I'm still in shock.
Ickies is a good word.
However, I agree that it is a business. And it hadn't occurred to me that this could possibly be a publicity stunt even until someone here was saying it. And I was like, well, it is a business. Do I want to be that cynical about the business? I don't know, but people will be talking about this for the next year.
If you want to talk about cynicism in the business, Moonlight winning is the antithesis to that type of cynicism.
Yes.
Because La La Land, which, among other things, was a white mansplaining of musicals and jazz.
Yes.
Like, it was also a not terrible film.
No,
I loved La La Land.
I watched it
Moonlight.
twice at TIFF. I watched it twice at TIFF because I was like, they're like, you guys see the movie? Like, I want to see La La Land again. Like, I love this film. I don't think it's anywhere near Best Picture of the Year. Like, it's fun, it's a great homage, and it's cute, and it's all the things that it should be. And technically, from a cinematography point, which we know that it won Best Cinematography, it was outstanding. Like, all of the special things that they were able to create within that film are wonderful. But as far as Best Feature, I was always with Moonlight. I thought the emotional depth which it, like, explored were so much more vast than what La La Land was trying to touch.
Me personally, I thought it was I thought Arrival
of
the nine.
Arrival.
You hated Arrival?
Arrival had no support, but I loved it. I just watched it again for the second time last night. It was, like, even better the second time around.
I predicted the ending in the first 20 minutes, and then the whole time I'm like, is this what's happening?
You're a Rick and Morty fan. That's what that is.
I
You're well aware what the multiverse is, and that an alien being can see all of time in one thing. Like, what I just described to you is what a lot of people who didn't get Arrival don't understand yet or haven't felt yet, where they're just
but
it was a twist and it makes no sense, where it's like, no, it's an alien species that sees a fourth dimension.
Yeah.
Right, no, it makes sense to you. You just didn't love it.
I understood
it. Beautiful, too. Don't get me wrong.
No, I thought the minimalism and subtlety, I thought was a much better, I thought it should have won for Best Production Design. The way they use LED lights to light that just black and white space with just a little bit of some greens in between the cracks. It's a gorgeous, stunning, beautiful film. The story I was bored the whole time. I was like, okay, so she's gonna have a baby with that dude, right? Spoiler alert, sorry guys.
We're way so way past spoilers.
And it seems like in the chat, we have a real mix of people who think that, yes, this was a publicity stunt, people who didn't think so, and I have to take issue with Sky Patterson's Zootopia for winning. I know we're not there yet, but I was pulling for Moana all the way.
So
I know
We
we're
will.
not there yet, but if you want to talk about my next upset of the night, I know it was going to happen, but
We will get there.
Moana,
We are
yeah.
live. We are so live. I'm going to see what Steve Harvey's Twitter is up to.
Yeah.
You do that, yes.
Let us know.
In the meantime, of the other 9 nominees, I thought Arrival was obviously best. I thought Hell or High Water was so good it couldn't possibly win Best Picture.
Was amazing. Yeah, no.
It was. I call that the Toy Story pick.
Yeah.
Where it's. Although La La Land kind of fits that too, where the reason they went from 5 to 9 is so that they could nominate films people may have actually seen. Because what I was prepared to talk about before this huge intro about controversy, and then they ran long and like everything, was how tonight kind of confirms that there is a new genre of film, and it's Oscar film. And Moonlight fits the bill.
It does. It's about a gay kid. It's very
Based on
dramatic.
a play, autobiographical,
Yep.
diverse cast, written.
It checks all the Oscar boxes.
It checks
does.
all the Oscar boxes, and that's not to discount it.
No.
But I've been saying it for a long time, and I think tonight really confirms that there's such a thing as an Oscar film.
There's absolutely such thing as an Oscar film, yeah.
I think so, but I think that was obvious even in the nominees. If that weren't the case, we'd see nominees like Deadpool making Best Picture. We'd see movies that were popular but clearly weren't the quote-unquote Oscar bait, because I think that La La Land was Oscar bait. I think Arrival was. I think Hacksaw Ridge was. I think
Hacksaw Ridge
really
was
were.
like... What?
I thought
it's such a subtle film. Like it's a great film. I love Hacksaw Ridge, but it doesn't like call a lot of attention to itself. It doesn't demand like, look at me, we're about like very sad, emotional, heavy drama things. Even though it delivered it in such a subtle and gentle way, and then heartbreakingly at the end. That I was shocked that people kind of recognized it for even being the quality that it was.
I agree. I also Hacksaw Ridge is within the Oscar genre, which I'll now call it. There seems to be representation of all other genres, because it's not unheard of for a comedy to win or get nominated. It just rarely will. Whereas Hacksaw Ridge is the equivalent to like something like The Purge, where it's a very thinking man's action film or horror film.
You just compared Hacksaw Ridge to The Purge?
I did.
Let's have a better explanation.
So, The Purge is the thinking man's horror film. Hacksaw Ridge is the thinking man's, or let's say historians, thinking person's, sorry.
Yeah, on a panel and 2 women.
Thinking person's action film.
Okay.
So it's Expendables, but for the Oscar audience. Although, however, most people I've spoken to in the Oscar audience have straight up told me, yeah, I really liked Hacksaw Ridge, but did it have to be so bloody and gory and explosion-y? Like Michael Bay was the...
What?
Whereas me, but those people weren't fans of action films, but they were fans of Hacksaw Ridge.
That's interesting.
But see, I don't think it's an action film. And actually, I think it's more categorized as a war film, but I actually didn't think it was a war film at all. I didn't think that the themes spoke to a war film. I felt like it was like a story that they happened to put in a war setting. I thought it was a story about following what's right and staying true to yourself, and it just so happened to be in a gory setting.
Yeah.
Related, Steve Harvey has not tweeted since February 22nd.
I look forward to his morning show tomorrow, where he talks about how easy it is to do that. Oh, Steve Harvey's going to be so happy he's off the hook. Like, no one can come slam Steve Harvey anymore. It's done. It's over.
And I love Steve Harvey. I think, like, he has such a warm and genuine feel. So when that whole thing happened, and if you don't know what we're talking about, he announced the Miss America winner, or excuse me, not Miss America, Miss Universe winner wrong. And I just felt so sad for him.
And to be fair, like, a less admissible or explainable way. Whereas, like, he was handed an envelope. He was handed an envelope, or he was handed a card with 5 names on it, and then, like, it was really unclear whether those names were people who did or didn't win or deserve it. Like, it was eliminated, and then once he got to the end, it was who wins and who's eliminated kind of a thing. This is even more, like, this is even more explainable on Maureen Beatty's part of, like, they handed me an envelope that said Emma Stone, La La Land.
Yeah.
Had they handed me an envelope that said Moonlight, I
would have said it. I don't care.
I'm an actor. I can read. Come on.
Vital Singhani, I hope I said her name right, in the chat says, what do you guys think about Lion? It was such a wonderful movie, deserving an Oscar in some category. I was shocked Lion got nothing, and I really thought, if you guys read the scripts for any of these. Lion had one of those scripts where, like, 2 pages in, you're like, I gotta know how this thing ends. Like, it's incredibly captivating and moving. And as much as I loved Moonlight's script, I really thought they were going to give it to Lion, because Lion does deserve it. Deserved some kind of accolade.
Well, I loved Lion, and I actually, I'm not Indian, but I have been to India, and I love the country, and I love the people, and I loved the movie, but I didn't actually love it enough to be nominated in any of the categories. And actually, if any of them, I know Dev Patel was nominated. I thought Sunny Pawar, who played the young boy, I thought he should have been nominated. I thought he was phenomenal. The rest of the movie, I thought, yes, it was good. Yes, it was well made. Yes, it made me cry at the end. But Oscar worthy, I just wasn't quite there.
Something we'll get to about Best Supporting Actress is that for whatever reason, as a film, as an artist in a film, you get to declare what you are and aren't to the Academy.
Oh, okay.
And we'll get there when we talk about Best Supporting Actress, but
things.
that's part of the reason Dev Patel is Best Supporting, because he could have declared himself Best Actor, but he looks at the field, or his producers look at the field, or the people who want to rack up as many Oscars, which is just a stat to them.
Yeah.
And it's I don't want to say it's broken, but there's a lot happening to the Academy Awards that make it the same old, same old. So this night was actually the first time in a long time it was not the same old, same old. So let's talk about every Best Picture nominee, and then we can work backwards from there, because we've spoken about them. So I grabbed some sportsbook odds this morning. Arrival was 100 to 1, meaning you'd bet $1 to win $100. I thought it was the best possible picture of the 9. Because I think film is language, language was the aliens, and I tweeted a link. that nerd about, like... That,
You're not on board.
You're not on board. I get it.
That's fair. It's fair.
We talked about Hacksaw Ridge. How do we feel about Fences?
God, I love Fences. Fences is another where we have that Oscar checklist of, like, it's a terribly dramatic story. It's a play. Originally, it was a play that they've turned into a film. It had Denzel doing the directing and starring Denzel and Viola, who I don't think you get two bigger, like, actors of color at this point in time. I thought it was a miraculous film. It definitely touched my heart. Was not my favorite film of the year, but I liked it. I mean, it was good.
I thought Fences was hard to watch, because the themes were so upsetting. I thought Denzel Washington's performance was so amazing.
His best performance in years.
I'm still shocked that he didn't win that.
I will never get over this betrayal Oscars. Ever.
He was so phenomenal.
This is the one?
The fact that Casey won over Denzel, no, I'll never get over it.
I mean, Denzel had tears. He was, and he and Viola Davis had both won Tonys for their roles in this on Broadway. So, I mean, they were into this. As far as being the best picture, I think that for me, it also has to be something that resonates. And it was so hard for me to watch Fences because it was so upsetting, because he was so cruel to his son. It was too difficult for me.
And because
so as
it was
result,
a play,
I couldn't.
It was a play shot in one house,
well.
other than like a trash truck at the front. Like, from a production standpoint, I had a lot of issues with Fences. From a writing standpoint, from a writing and an acting standpoint, they were just working circles around everything else. I value the cinema beyond, like, and I understand the power of Denzel directing it himself and then winning Tonys for these roles.
But Denzel's not the greatest director. If we look at his directorial career specifically,
I think as a director, I think it made a lot of sense that he directed pretty much a one location play that was then adapted to be a film. I thought it was wonderful as that. When you're talking the best picture, the best overall cinematic piece, I didn't actually think it even belonged here.
No, not for best
especially
picture.
compared to Moonlight.
Performances wise, sure, but like cinematography wasn't quite up to snuff. We weren't getting a lot, like sound design wise, even like it was good to see those two doing the film. Like, I'm glad the film got made. No shade against it. Best picture, I don't think so.
Back in my day,
on the other hand.
Back in my day, movies like Fences would just be nominated for actor and actress, like just be nominated for the actors and actors. Like
so
My Week
respectful.
with Marilyn would be a good example from 5 years ago. Wonderful film, set piece for a lot of different actors.
Yes,
and when nominated, that's all it got nominated for was costume design, production design, actor, actress kind of stuff.
As it should have been.
Fences struck me as disingenuous in that way.
But you got to get those 9 though.
We have to jump right into Best Actress.
Yes.
Which, There's no real surprise there with Best Actress.
No.
We all pretty much knew going in it was going to be Emma Stone. And the Oscars being the Oscars, you're not awarded just for the role you just did.
Right.
You're awarded for your career.
Which is so weird because for Emma Stone, and while
Yeah.
I love Emma Stone, she's done really fun movies. Every movie she's done with Ryan Gosling is amazing to me.
Of course.
But I was like Isabella Huppert. I'm sorry, I'm American.
We'll go with Hubert.
Yeah, I thought she could maybe upset, but having seen La La Land and the moment where she gives her audition, the very famous audition scene, there was no doubt to me that she was going to win in that moment. She started clearing at festivals very early where she was getting award after award after award. It was pretty obvious she was going to win.
It was pretty obvious. And if we go by the sports betting odds, which I kind of wrongly on the undercard of this went with, today it was pretty clearly going to be her. It was 1 to 7 odds on her. The way to deal with sports betting odds is you're betting the number on the right to win the number on the left. So you would bet $7 to win $1 on Emma Stone, and everybody else was to 1, 16 to 1, 7 to 1, 16 to 1, 10 to 1.
I have no idea what any of those numbers mean, but I was kind of pulling for Natalie Portman and Jackie because it's not, again, I agree, it's not that I don't think Emma Stone did a good job, but I wasn't feeling like it was completely just there, and I guess I wanted to spread the love a little more. And for me, that was Natalie Portman. I thought she did an amazing job in Jackie.
I agree. Natalie Portman was the best actress of these films. When you talk about the Oscars, you have to talk about what do you think Oscar voters think.
But she's well loved by the Academy
She
as well.
is.
I mean,
And I think Jackie was one of 7 or 8 when it came to screener season that were all roughly the same 18-20 month period in the 1960s. The Founder, 13th, like there were a lot of films that were roughly the same part of the 60s.
Yes.
And I also think her performance was the thing we can all talk about from this film.
Yeah, that's pretty much
she
it.
was, yeah.
Well,
She
and
was
costume
good, yeah.
design, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, but to me, like, if you're gonna do Jacqueline Kennedy, like, of course the costume design is gonna be super. Like, I expect you to come with the A game for the costumes for that. But I don't leave Jackie with any like great feelings of like, oh, everyone must run and see this movie.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the catalyst for what a great for Best Picture the Oscar should be.
That's a really good point. I like that. You're right. And I agree. The only way I'd say run to see Jackie is run to see Natalie Portman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, now you can walk. Take your time.
Did you guys have this little feeling of hope that Meryl Streep would win only to find out if she would complain about this dress thing
Oh my
in her
God.
speech? Do you know what I'm talking about with this whole dress controversy?
No.
What is the dress controversy?
Okay, the dress controversy started a couple days ago. She had a designer doing a dress for her. Her people changed their mind. The designer came out and said Meryl didn't want us because she wants people to pay her, and we don't pay for people who wear dresses.
Okay.
Meryl's people were pissed off. There was this huge article. They said, I've been nominated a record 20 times. What are you making this the story that has now defamed me? It's gone all over the world. This isn't an apology. Make me an apology. I mean, she was upset, understandably.
Here's the thing. If you're going to dress Meryl Streep, you would pay for the honor. Like, she's going to wear your dress. She will probably say your name several times, and you're on Meryl Streep's body. Don't come for Meryl. That's just stupid.
That
Like, people who
was-
want to start a beef with Meryl Streep, like the most beloved
Yes.
woman on the planet, like, maybe calm down.
I don't know this story, but if they had initially agreed to design it for her, and then it became a matter of price, as professionals, that's incredibly unprofessional of them to then out it.
Yes.
Like, if I came to you for your services and expected you for one amount, and then you wanted another, and I went, I actually can't afford that. I'm gonna have to go another way. And then you tweeted about it.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna do business with you again. And
Ever.
anyone like me.
The story's
Yeah.
no, it's
Or-
like
okay.
if you went to get a dress and the dressmaker said, like, you wanted the dressmaker to pay you for wearing the dress. So
Okay,
the
but-
dressmaker was saying, Chanel said she only wants someone to pay her to wear their clothing, and we don't pay.
Again, it's Meryl Streep.
I know.
She-
No, but like it's deal in terms. If I make a deal with you and then then it winds up falling apart on the terms, and I don't say anything publicly, but you do,
You're the
Either
asshole.
way, yeah.
you're the one. Like, we made a deal, we didn't arrive on terms. That is 80% of business.
Yeah.
It's not right. And granted, I'm basing it. I'm
on hearsay, but
TMZing Harvey,
Right.
if you will, just kind of grabbing at what I know and I think, and trying to like form a full opinion on a story that I didn't do the work for. But of what I've heard of it, that's how it feels for me. A couple folks are asking where Natalie Portman was. Natalie Portman is pregnant.
Very, very, very
incredibly pregnant. We saw her in the Mean Tweet segment. Mean Tweet segment where they said that she looks like somebody who would order
a tea and maybe some toast.
A hot water with lemon and maybe a salad.
Yeah.
And then they pan out to show that she's incredibly pregnant.
She and Beyonce will be resting until the babies have arrived. Like, it's going to be fine.
Those babies are going to be the greatest.
Yes.
When is Natalie due? Is she due now? Maybe she's having an Oscar baby?
She looks
I don't know
close,
when
but I
she's
have
due.
no idea what her
If
due
I
date
were a
is.
human, I would not want to be associated with this Oscars.
If you were a human, I like that.
But like, if
I was a
30
new human coming into the world.
if
like,
I
let me
were
skip
born
this
if I
day.
were born on an Oscar night, especially from Natalie Portman, and 30 years later I have to explain the Oscar night I was born on, I would not want it to be this one. Last year it'd be
that.
fine.
Actually, yeah, last year was okay.
Last year was fine.
This year was a mess.
It happened.
I just...
It happened. It was wonderful. They all got dressed and clapped.
So Raul
Yeah.
Flores is saying you guys got it all wrong. Meryl Streep's people told Chanel she may wear them for the awards, but may choose from a list of designers they had. Someone came out with a rumor that Meryl would only. Well,
Yeah, no, that's what we were saying. That the rumor was that Meryl they wanted someone to pay her. Meryl's people said, no
Of course,
way.
like, that's fine. That, as far as I'm aware, AfterBuzz is doing a fashion segment, so I think we have to kind of...
wrapping up the dress portion.
we
I'm
won't
pretty
touch
sure
moving
AfterBuzz
forward.
is going to
But
cover this in depth tomorrow.
I did not think Meryl was deserving of a nomination. I actually did not like Florence Foster Jenkins at all, but I was a little curious for her to win just because I wanted to see if she'd address the controversy.
respect it.
But Natalie Portman is who I was rooting for, to be honest.
I was also rooting for her as, like, a merit thing. You gotta... When it comes to Oscars, you gotta wipe your hands of merit.
Yeah,
I just
true.
thought there
It's
could be
Oscars.
an upset, though. I thought there, like, I don't know.
I'm still shocked Viola Davis didn't put herself for that. Her company didn't put her in this category. Because I feel like if Viola Davis had been in the Best Actress category, she still would have won. Do you guys think that's true, or do you think she needed to be in Best Supporting in order to win?
I think Best Supporting was a lot weaker this year, and that's what either her or her people were going for.
It makes me so sad because it totally robbed Naomi Harris
It
of
did.
the Best Supporting Actress
It
she
did,
totally
but like,
deserved.
but that's what happens with the Oscars.
Absolutely. You
is
just
now
said.
Naomi Harris won't have her best performance of her career next year or 5 years from now, and she will win Best Supporting or Best Actress because she didn't win Best Supporting tonight. And you
Yeah.
can trace that lineage 50 years.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Well, I
the
mean,
Oscars.
And that's what people said with Denzel in Training Day when he won.
yeah.
Win
like,
for Training
also,
Day.
we can jump into Best Actor now. We're talking about Denzel. Very few people win 3 Academy Awards.
Truth.
Especially actors. The most recent I can think of is Daniel Day-Lewis, and that was for Lincoln.
Yeah. And Daniel
Which-
Day-Lewis only does like star-studded performances.
Exactly, like Daniel
you only
Day-Lewis
get the best from Daniel
at that
Day-Lewis.
point-
20 years.
Had only ever done some stuff. If we're going by sportsbook odds, this was the race.
Yeah.
If you were in your Oscar pool, if you were trying to predict what happened in the Oscars, this was the race, and the race was between Denzel Washington in Fences, who this would have been his 3rd win, or Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea. It would be 4 to 5 odds versus 21 to 20 odds. Once again, you're betting the right side to win the left side, so you would win 1/20th or 5/4 your money, both of which heavy favorited, especially when everyone else is to 1. Denzel does not win.
Shocking.
Shocking. His
Casey Affleck.
performance was
Shocking.
amazing.
Like I said, I thought Fences was a performance film. That in my even idealistic world of the Oscars, which I understand are a little broken, think Denzel and Fences would be a performance film. Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting, some production design, no cinematography, no writing, no that like. So to see him nominated here, this is where it actually belongs. There's a lot going down here.
There's a lot. And look, I can't, like, Casey Affleck's, shenanigans outside of his acting can be discussed at another time. If we're just going to base it on the performance, I can't really be mad at the Academy. I know I said I would never forgive them, but it's hard to be mad at them because Casey Affleck does give a stunning performance. Like, some people I know who have depression have talked about how this movie got it so right, how accurate it was, how hard it was for them to watch this movie because it felt like a reflection. And so it was an honest to God, like really close race, and I get it. I'm still shocked and upset that Denzel didn't win, though. I really feel like we've seen Denzel, you know, kind of bounce back and forth. He's done some good movies. He's done some just very basic, okay movies. But here he gave a performance so outside of the typical Denzel performance. I really thought they would award that.
Because similar to an actor like Samuel L. Jackson, you kind of wind up playing... Like, Samuel L. Jackson in some films winds up playing Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, yeah, just with a different haircut every time.
Like, Denzel Washington in some films winds up just playing Denzel Washington in this place. This did not happen in Fences.
No.
Fences, he played a guy... like.
And that could be actually why I didn't like it, because I love Denzel, like, with a passion. Like, I met him once, and I was like, I love The Preacher's Wife. And he was like, my daughter, too. And so maybe that's part of it, that I was like, I want my Denzel. I don't want this guy. I want, like, nice, fatherly preacher's wife Denzel. So
I liked this Denzel. I like the raw. I think it's hard to do rage that is believable. Most people will fly right off the handle and go to a place that is completely ridiculous and kind of cartoonish almost. But he kept it so in check. He was genuinely terrifying. And then to have him in scenes with Viola Davis where they're giving that great back and forth, and they're both totally giving each other what they need to get to the next level. I loved everything about this performance. So, I mean, I guess congratulations, Casey Affleck.
I know, I feel bad. Yeah,
about
good job.
3 things to just talk about the memes of the Oscars, because I'll jump into it right now. There are a couple of memes surfacing of the Oscars, first of which is Gary Allen Cole from Chicago.
Gary Allen Cole, my new hero.
My spirit animal.
Truly.
There was the segment where Jimmy Kimmel pretty much hijacked a Starline tour of tourists who were touring Hollywood, happened to be during the Oscars, and then he convinces them that the Starline tour, which does end on Hollywood Boulevard, it does end with Madame Tussauds, which is right next door to Dolby Theatre. He convinced them, and he had Starline Tours convince all of these people that they were going to Madame Tussauds. They were not going to Madame Tussauds. They were hustled into the the front part of the front row of the Oscar ceremony and got to interact with all of the actors. It was incredibly viral. One of the things that went viral was just Gary Allen Cole in general, like everything he did. Another of which was a woman holding a selfie stick who got to meet Ryan Gosling,
Gary Allen's fiance,
who shook her hand and then whispered something into her ear, where she had a very shocked look on her face.
Yes.
The meme is going around that you can put anything in Ryan
Gosling. To your responses.
You can just anything anything you want Ryan Gosling to say. The one I tweeted tonight was, I voted for Trump. I thought that was really funny. In a meme.
If you haven't seen the picture, it works so much better with the picture because her face is like, what? Why?
As any human who thought they were going to Madame Tussauds and wound up at the Dolby Theatre with Ryan Gosling, it makes complete sense.
God, perfection.
And the other huge meme tonight is Warren Beatty holding up an empty envelope.
Yes.
And then you putting whatever text you would like over that envelope, whether it be Suicide Squad or Bill Pullman or...
Thank you, guys.
Anything.
It's amazing.
I thought I had a third meme in my mind, but I'm sure it'll come to me. Also, the way I wound up there is that a couple different news outlets, including Backstage.com, have confirmed that he was handed Emma Stone's envelope.
Okay.
That is confirmed by multiple news outlets as of this moment, like within the last 5 minutes.
Okay.
That they've confirmed it. Someone's been fired. No, whoever has made that mistake.
It's not good.
For better or worse, has likely been fired, and that's the reality of where we live. It sucks. It sucks. It happened.
I feel like that's not even just the reality of where we live. I mean, that's a pretty big screw up in any industry. But I have to say, like, I'm happy because the thought that this would have been done on purpose is so sickening to me that they would mess with people's emotions that much. So
doesn't say that it wasn't on purpose, though. Just because he wasn't in on the bit doesn't mean that somebody didn't orchestrate the bit. So I don't know.
Complete with a straw man that'll be fired tomorrow, similar to the ball boy on the New England Patriots.
Yes, exactly.
God, I hope not. Also, Star Drew in the chat corrected me. Ryan is Canadian, so he did not vote in an American election. That does not stop how funny my tweet is.
It is still hilarious.
My tweet is still funny.
It is.
I mean, he's married, so he might be on. I don't know if he's got American
only if
citizenship.
he wants to be a citizen. As of now, I don't think he's
Is his wife American?
Eva Mendes, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
they have 2 children now who are also Americans.
That's a good question for later. Can Ryan Gosling vote in the election?
Married to the blonde chick.
Blake Lively.
There you go.
Oh wait, did I screw them up? They are both like identical.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay.
No, I think Gosling
you got
Eva
it right.
Mendes,
You got it right.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know they look the same.
Did anybody else think the bus tour bit? I thought at first I was like, oh god, I don't want this. This is gonna be so silly. Instantly sold as soon as they walked in. To see their faces, be like, oh my god, oh Jesus. Okay, we're here. One guy seemed very unhappy to be at the Oscars. He was like, I'm not dressed for this. I don't know why. There's one guy in the back who had like on a backpack.
There were a couple people who felt just uncomfortable.
I don't want this to be on national television this second.
They just felt naturally uncomfortable because while we're talking about it, and a lot's going to come out about this Oscars this week.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think those people were central casting?
Wow.
And to explain it to everyone else, Central Casting is in New York and Los Angeles, a very big casting company that pretty much, if you have ever acted in LA, they sub as both pretty much as the payroll company, but also the casting company for any type of background.
My initial thought was you have to sign things to get for them to use your image.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
You
you
could
didn't
have
sign
tricked-
some paperwork on the bus and not read it.
You could have
'cause that
tricked a whole
happens
tour
sometimes.
worth of...
Could have easily happened that way. Some of their reactions seemed very genuine. If they are, I look forward to your acting careers. Particularly the other couple that we saw. I do not know their names. Sorry, the girl.
Jewelry
There
and
you
Jerry.
go.
I think
Yes.
it was like Jewelry and then a normal name like Justin or Chris. And he was like, well, that's a name. That's...
Sir, first of all names are names. If you have it, it's your name. But her look when she first walked in was like, what is even going on? I thought it was cute. Whether it was central casting or whether they were actually shocked and surprised to be there, it worked for
The
me.
segment was exactly what it should have been.
Yes.
Either way. Which
So
is the most important part.
And I
Very
actually
cute.
did not have a chance to see it since I was at the party, but I feel like I would really like to, although that is where the cynical side of me comes in, saying that I do believe people are always cast.
That's fair.
So.
That you think... I wouldn't be surprised if this morning there were a Craigslist ad or a straight up actual... or just a straight up... Enough people in this town take Hollywood tours that I would not be shocked if there was something to that effect of we're casting a tour bus, like we're giving away a free tour bus, and then they screen these people for a week.
Then I look forward to Gary Cole's amazing acting career and the work that he's going to do because that guy had me in stitches.
But they weren't
He's so
going
funny.
by. They were not going by merit there. They were going by who will make this segment exactly what this segment was.
Because you could fall off the turnip truck and sign up and
Get
it was
yourself on
still-
YouTube or something, Gary. I will support you. I will kickstart your career. Let's
I
do
started
this.
looking for his Twitter because he had his phone out. Like I assumed maybe if he was periscoping or Facebook living, like if you were one of the first people to retweet that, like that's an avalanche of impressions.
Totally. I'm concerned that he'll be like red sweater guy from the town hall debates where later
Ken
on
Boone?
we find out, yes,
Kenneth
we find out
Boone?
he's like a crazy person. And we
Well-
shouldn't have idolized him at all.
Well, speaking as a Redditor, if you do an AMA on Reddit, make a burner account for it.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't want people to know how you live.
You don't.
But we're going to move on from Ken Boone. Let's stick with the acting categories. Let's jump into Best Supporting Actress.
Yes, Viola, even though I really felt
By the way, we
Amy
had a
Schumer.
pretty active Oscar pool that given everything that's happened tonight, I did not have the time to grade yet. So I will grade it, and there will be a tweet for whoever wins it. A lot's gone down tonight that I have not gotten into it. Man. Viola Davis.
Yes.
Whether it was her or a production company or a management or the production of the film, decided she qualifies for Best Supporting, which on Ensemble Cast, that's a legitimate claim.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
She was the odds-on favorite to win. Like
Yeah.
there was
Yeah, she was.
there was no question.
Unfortunately, I really felt like, Naomi got close. Naomi was so close, and Michelle did a really great job of just blubbering everywhere. Like I say that with like crassness, but truly, she's a joy to watch every time. She really goes all out. But Viola, just to show 19 years of heartbreak and heartache in such a convincing way to immediately transcend me to this time period, it's well earned.
It is definitely well earned. To run down the category real quick, I think Nicole Kidman can get a nomination by being Nicole Kidman in a wig in a movie that's nominated for other things, and that's not to discount her
She got
in any way.
nominated for Paperboy, so yes, you're absolutely right.
They nominate Nicole Kidman. They nominate Meryl Streep. They nominate Nicole Kidman. There are still, even after tonight, there are still some concrete.
Charlize Theron
solid,
will continue to be nominated.
Charlize Theron will continue to show up at the very least. She could not make a movie in 2017. She will be here this time next year.
And
If we're
Octavia
looking-
Spencer for Hidden Figures is the last one.
Okay, I have something slightly controversial to say.
Please.
Oh.
I didn't love this category in general. I think that Taraji P. Henson should have been nominated instead of Octavia Spencer.
I
If we were
agree.
going with
Yes,
one person from Hidden
absolutely.
Figures. I love her. I think she's a chameleon. I think she's amazing. And so she was the most deserving. I thought Viola Davis was good. But that was my overall feel.
Unpopular opinion alert!
Unpopular opinion alert. That was my overall feel. I didn't love any of the women in this category. I would have gone with Taraji P. Henson. Yes, I went with Viola Davis, knowing that Taraji wasn't there.
Yeah.
But that
Well-
was
You
my
don't think
overall
Naomi
feel.
Harris? Naomi Harris did her all three of those different time
I
periods
know.
in 3 days.
I think
she
on-
knocked out
She
her
was-
entire role in 3 filming days.
She was good, and I thought that Moonlight was beautiful, and I thought the boys were like all three, Little, Sharon, and Big or Black. They were amazing, but she was good, but amazing, like Oscar worthy.
no.
I wasn't there for
When she
her.
slaps him and then she's bathed in all of that red light right before she goes into the room, I was like, that's it right there. Like, that's the Oscar. And if Viola hadn't been in this category, it for sure would have gone to Naomi.
I think if she hadn't been in this category, Taraji P. Henson would have had a nomination.
No, I think if anything, she did the exact same thing Octavia Spencer did, or someone for Octavia Spencer did, or someone within Fences, which is, nope, 3 women are the star of Fences, so they are all Best Supporting Actress, instead of one, maybe the woman who had
I
a
don't
child
think
play
so.
her at the very first scene of the movie,
Yeah.
might have just been nominated for Best Actress.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
It
Taraji
gets-
was actress.
That's what I
And-
think too.
yeah.
Similar to how I think Dev Patel or the gentleman or the younger child playing
Sunny Power.
I think they would have qualified more for Best Actor. So it already gets so muddled and confusing.
It does.
I also think, if we're airing controversial opinions, I think Michelle Williams did a wonderful job. I do, however, think she had minimal screen time and had such, for lack of a better word, scaffolded character.
Yes.
They pretty much wrote a character for her to come in and knock it out of the park. In this current format, there's no other way to describe that or
It's
deal
very
with that.
similar to her role in Blue Valentine, like
Yes.
almost identical, similar to the point of like, I want to be with you, but I'm not sure that I can, and now I'm in tears. And again, she's the best at doing it. Like Michelle Williams,
She
so good. I
was-
don't want to take anything away from her, but maybe
She was
not
my
this
favorite
role.
part of this film.
Absolutely.
Like, and part of that is because they literally put in a third string pitcher. They put in a terrible pitcher to throw the pitch that's only going 60 miles an hour specifically so she can hit it out of the park.
I don't understand. What are you?
It's that,
The role was
She
the role was
was-
made easy for her. It's not it didn't challenge her. She didn't have to reach. We didn't see her do anything
she
that
didn't
she
have to
hasn't
show
done before.
She didn't have to show up every day. They were shooting Manchester by the Sea. Like, there were a lot of reasons that don't discount her and don't discount her performance, but also, well, yeah, if you gave me such a well-written character before I ever show up, I'll do great too.
Oh, we have something happening in the chat. Zarlas Ghani says, guys, Emma Stone just said in her interview backstage that she was holding her envelope with her name the entire time Best Picture was announced,
Oh, God.
proving the stunt was fake. Now, Tiffany says there were 2 envelopes, one for the company and one for the winners, which doesn't surprise me because I know sometimes
Yeah.
they'll take very nice pictures
want the
afterwards of the
envelope.
open envelope. So there could be 2. It'll be very interesting to see where that information goes.
That's interesting because I didn't know there were 2 envelopes. I thought there was one. It goes to the winner.
I've
and
never
that's
heard
that.
of
I've
2
never heard of
printings,
2.
and I certainly
Yeah.
have never heard of 2
Deadline
like
is
official
Right.
open printings.
Deadline is reporting what Emma Stone is saying. I was holding the Best Actress card the entire time. Meaning,
But there could have been a mistake that like a second one was
there,
printed.
there was likely
That's
a second
also-
one.
So he did genuinely have. The
I don't
second
know how
one.
it's done, but I wouldn't be shocked if they printed 5 or 9 for every category. Like, if you're nominated, there should be an envelope with your name on it that is then decided by the accounting firm.
Oh, so no one else knows.
So
you're
no one
saying.
else knows, like, the people.
Oh,
so that
interesting.
I don't know how it's done specifically, and this is actually one of the first years they didn't talk about it. I'm starting to tinfoil hat a little.
That's true. They usually have the guys come out and be
They're literally
we're
like
from
they
such
have
and such a company, and
I'm
we
from
did
Schuster,
accounting.
Schuster and Blaine.
Yeah.
And this is the thing.
But they
this is
never
the,
explained this with the envelopes. We have a new question for them.
However, it is consistently the most boring, and I didn't miss it until this moment.
until
so.
the 1 year they don't tell us is the year we need to know.
Jackson getting the Oscar for Hacksaw Ridge, and then all of a sudden a black man taking it from his hand. Oh my God, that was from Peter Yosef. Thank you so much. Or Petrov Yosef. Oh,
I mean, Mel Gibson's more anti-Semitic than anything else.
Truly.
But
He'd be upset about anything.
He
Although
would
he
just-
dropped the N-bomb a couple of times in that drunk police video.
No, I'm
so
not.
You just never know with Mel.
I'm saying he isn't racist. I'm
Opportunity
saying-
hate.
He's happy to hate anyone.
So,
So, big question. I mean, Ellen T says apparently there are multiple copies of the envelopes, but for the stage managers. Okay, is it... Oh, no. Never mind. I had a new theory to defend the show, but no.
the information we have as of this second, which literally Deadline 4 minutes ago had an interview with Emma Stone that refuted something we had just said. The information we have at this second leads us to believe there was a second envelope that was given to Warren Beatty. If we are believing Emma Stone, that she kept her envelope, which if I won Academy
always
Award,
give it to
I
you,
would never...
Pry it from my cold dead
Yeah,
hands.
I would never give you that envelope back.
Yeah.
So that there's a second envelope that must have gotten confused or mixed, whether a stage manager mixed it up, a stage hand mixed it up, or a producer straight up planned it, is yet to be determined.
Oh,
my
my heart
God.
is pitter-pattering. Like, I don't want them to have been that cruel to those people. That's just
I just live
so
for the
cruel.
drama. Like, no matter what the outcome is, I like live for zeitgeist moments, and this has been thrilling to watch.
This is an
unfold.
incredible, like, a true zeitgeist moment. Mm-hmm. Like, as you said, like, the Mariah Carey nipple.
Not Mariah Carey or Janet Jackson. Mariah Carey was just the lip syncing in
Mine's
the
eye.
ears.
But also
That's-
very valid.
Yes.
That is also... Maybe I just want to see Mariah Carey's nipple.
I mean,
Maybe that's where that came... I was not thinking Mariah Carey New Year's Eve at all. I thought nipple
there's
and
no
worked
problem
backwards.
with that. She's a
It
beautiful
happens.
woman, Steven.
I also appreciate her mind, her emotions, and her thoughts.
I'm glad you appreciate all facets of Mariah Carey.
So, can we talk about Best Supporting Actor? We're just gonna go actor.
Right there.
Yeah,
We're
let's
just
do it.
because most of the recaps I'm reading
Catch up.
aren't telling me in the way it happened, so I can't work backwards from them. So I'm just gonna kind of jump into Best Supporting Actor, how it was listed. This one was not much of a race.
No.
Thank you.
Everybody kind of knew Mahershala Ali was going to win from the get-go. I was not shocked at all, but his speech was very powerful and good, and I liked that. Who else was nominated?
Well, Dev Patel was nominated for Lion, which I would rather argue he or the child that played him earlier in the film would have been nominated for Best Actor instead of either of them being nominated for Best Supporting. Jeff Bridges was nominated for being Jeff Bridges. Also, Hell or High Water was great.
Like, where did that even come from, though?
No, he
That
was
movie?
amazing in that film. That film was amazing. He's worthy of a nomination, but
but you weren't going to win, bro. It
he
just
wasn't
wasn't
going to
your
win.
year.
25-1. If I thought he would win, I'd bet on it. It was 25-1. Lucas Hodges, sorry.
Yeah.
40-1. And then
Hedges,
we had Michael Shannon at 15-1 for Nocturnal Animals, not Nixon Elvis. He was Elvis. Never mind. He played out. Never mind.
Right over my head.
It was
so
another
sorry.
interesting category, and I agree. I think Mahershala Ali was automatically the hands-down favorite. Like, I never even... The others were fine, but I also... Like, Jeff Bridges, Hell or High Water, it was sort of like, where did that movie come from? No one's talked about it. Sort of like with Viggo Mortensen.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
no one... Like, that movie came out of nowhere, and I think same for Michael Shannon. Like, good, but, like, this was the nomination from Nocturnal Animals, really. I don't know. It didn't... I thought Moonlight, Mahershala Ali.
If we're
for sure.
talking my idealistic idea of the Oscars, I think the actor, Best Supporting Actor, Actress, like all the acting categories should look not like this. I think that 4 of the 5 were nominated for Best Picture. I think in my ideal, something like Fences shouldn't be even considered for Best Picture, but could sweep supporting actor, actress. Like that's because there are some films that have incredible performances that aren't by themselves a Best Picture.
But sometimes the performance will outdo the picture entirely.
That too.
Yeah. And much like you say in Fences, like I was surprised the eldest son didn't get nominated from Fences for Best Supporting Actor. And again, when you have things like Jeff Bridges, who was essentially leading Hell or High Water in this category, it makes it kind of challenging for that. Michael Shannon is a stunning actor. I hope he gets his Oscar soon because he's been in so many bit roles where he just shines and illuminates the screen. That'd be great. But Mahershala Ali's table scene the second
This
one.
was-
It was over after that. Like, when you see, like, a tough grown man, like, weep over a child, I was just like, well, okay, you win, sir. You win. That was stunning.
Sky Patterson in the chat. Marshalla Ali for Jon Stewart. Green Lantern 2020. Yes, please.
Yes.
And I wouldn't even mind like a
Please.
Moonlight sequel with more of him. I thought that he and Joelle Monique were amazing, and not that I wanted a different story than Moonlight, but I feel like a sequel about their characters now, because I felt like there was more to hear about
There
their
was
characters.
definitely
Teresa
more.
was her character.
And the small amount that we saw of them, their relationship outside of what we saw on screen was so well built and constructed. You understood who was chief in their relationship. Hint, it was not him. The way that they kind of talked to each other, the way they kind of gave these little eyes, like make them a couple and put them in a new movie.
Yeah.
I will watch it. Even their interactions in Hidden Figures, when she's like urging him to go talk to Taraji P. Henson's character, was just, they're so much fun. They have a good dynamic on screen, and I'd like to see them again.
yeah.
I agree. Yeah. It was
This category.
it was this category. I also love him in some other stuff I've seen him. Obviously obviously Luke Cage, not Nick
Yes.
Cage. That would be.
But Nick Cage was also great.
I would watch if Nick Cage were an MCU miniseries on Netflix. I'd watch
You know
that.
his name was based off Luke Cage, right?
Really?
He came up with the Cage portion of his name because he really liked Luke Cage.
I love
Did not know
that.
Yeah,
I love that a lot.
right? That's
That's
pretty special.
I didn't realize I could learn more about Nick Cage.
He's a never-ending fountain of information.
Crazy. So
I've loved him since the 4400 TV show, which was years ago, and he was
Yes.
great then. So I'm glad to see that he's gaining popularity now, and I think
I came into him in House of Cards, where I was like,
Oh,
this
he's
is a
amazing in
bad
House of Cards.
dude. He was amazing.
So let's jump into film editing.
Yes.
This was an upset that, like, nerds like me, had everything else gone how we thought it would have been talking about this, would have been talking about sound editing, would have been talking about a lot of the littler stuff.
Yeah.
But something happened up top that we were like, two things actually, actor and picture happened up top.
Yeah.
That were just so insane about. It was Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, La La Land, Moonlight. Hacksaw Ridge wins, not La La Land, which had the record 14 nominations.
Yeah. Which was crazy. I still, man, I don't even know. Here's my problem with Hacksaw Ridge winning acting. As much as I loved the film, I do. I think it's a very sweet film. I think that it was passionate, and I could see, like, it's clear Mel Gibson cared about the piece, and I think a lot of that is what makes a good film. The first hour of this movie could have been easily chopped down into 10 minutes, and I would have appreciated the film on a whole so much better.
No, I loved the first part and their
I-
awkward geeky
Kill me
romance.
now,
I
it's
loved
so
the geeks,
long.
and they were so cute together. Forget
No
the
one
war
cares.
part.
It didn't matter to the
I
story.
loved
No,
everything.
the movie didn't even need the war. That wasn't even the point of the movie. It was about
The
him.
whole point of the movie is the fact that he
No.
did this huge courageous thing. Like, the whole hour of build up of, like, he's a nice guy who doesn't want to fight, but he'll try if he has to. And court-martialed, and oh my god, like, Hollywood forced love story. Like, it was just Braveheart over again, and I didn't care for the first hour of this movie.
Best part. But I was rooting for Arrival.
Everyone,
what can I say? I wanted
everyone
it to be
talks about
something.
La La Land being this, what do you call it? This controversial nominee, at least among our circles of
Yeah.
people debate it. I think Hacksaw Ridge really fits this.
Yeah.
Like, moving forward, I think we're going to have these discussions about Hacksaw Ridge forever of, like, was it a good movie? Was it a Best Picture worthy movie? Was it this? Was it that? I really, really liked Hacksaw Ridge. I liked the pacing. Whereas most of the people I talk to who are more or less Oscar people that would have followed the Oscar genre, if you will, their complaint was there was too much blood, gore, and action at the end.
And see, that was the only part that mattered to me. I was like, this is awesome. Like, the huge, like, sneaking around, oh my gosh, trench warfare is one of my favorite aspects of history just to read about. You have a lot of, like street smart kids writing what turns out to be this very gritty poetry or prose about what it is to essentially be buried alive, and then also having to fight for your life. It's beautiful in its tragedy, and I thought it was really filmed well here. I thought the violence and the gore was appropriate for the war that it was depicting. I just didn't care for the front half of it, which is so funny.
That is really... No, I thought typical action movie parlance, because once again, like something like The Expendables, I don't actually like, because you have to, at least with me, you have to earn that second half.
Agreed.
So that with Hacksaw Ridge, I felt that was a good point of earning the second half. It was blood, it was gore, he picked up a gun, he debated it, like,
Just short
you
of
had
20
all
minutes. You still had an hour and a half film. It still would have been full feature length time. Just
I think they should
tighten
have.
it up a bit.
I think they should have. I think they should have cut down some Hacksaw Ridge too. I just thought it was different parts.
Never leave the gore.
I welcome you 6 months from now when we have Joelle's cut of Hacksaw Ridge and my cut of Hacksaw Ridge, and then we'll have a cutoff. I'm all about that. Kaufmann's Ridge. But for real, this was also Oscar bingo in the sense it was war film, patriotic, based on a true story.
Got some good Christian ideals in there.
There's a level of that. Also, it's a Mel Brooks film that it's in the ilk. It's in the ilk of The Passion of the Christ. It's a pacifist. It's an incredibly violent film about a pacifist.
Yes.
That I stole that from Honest Trailers. Everyone everyone saw that Honest Trailers. I can't.
It's a great Honest
I
Trailers.
can't act like I didn't hear that first. Hear that from them first. But I enjoyed this film. I'm gonna be outspoken that I thought Arrival was much better.
That's
I
fair.
thought Arrival was just a much superior film in all of these categories. I just don't have the time to. I don't have the time to rant and rave about how the Oscars aren't about merit.
I do think
When it
Arrival
comes to
was
editing,
amazing.
I think Hacksaw Ridge should have been the winner here. However, if you had bet on Hacksaw Ridge, you would have gotten 5-1 on your money.
I would have, if I was a voting member of the Academy, I think I would have voted for Hell or High Water in this category. I thought particularly the shootout scene at the end was so well edited. The way they built suspense, using going from scope to the wide shots where you can't really see anything, to these very close-ups of the faces where you're just not sure of what's happening until it happens, and then your heart breaks in a million pieces. I love this movie. I would have voted for editing here because I wouldn't have voted it for anywhere else, and I thought the editing was done really well, and none of these really stand out as like, my God, the editing, for me anyhow.
So, we're going to run through them a little. Let's get to Best Director. Best Director was between Mel Gibson, who directed Hacksaw Ridge.
Yes.
Who, I will say that was one of the more disappointing moments for me of Hacksaw Ridge, was when it said directed by Mel Gibson, because I'm a weird soul that I like to have seen all the Best Picture nominees by today. I'm
Yeah.
also a human with a job and stuff to do. So the way I do that is mid-December, based on the buzz and some of the awards and what I think. I'll compile my own list in December and start watching that list, and Hacksaw Ridge was on that list. And because I know if it's likely going to be nominated for Best Picture, I don't look into it at all. So I walked into Hacksaw Ridge completely blind, which I do think helps my understanding of a lot of these films versus others.
Agreed.
The most disappointing moment for me was, oh man, I really liked this movie, and now I know Mel Gibson's the director. And
Yeah, but now
I know I'm
Hollywood
not supposed to
forgave
like
him.
Mel Gibson. Hollywood clearly forgives you if you're Mel Gibson.
They're over it. They're like, it's okay, Mel, come back, which leaves me feeling a little weird, but it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Again, if we're going to remove the personal lives of these people and look at them just on artistic, merit, as Oscars say they do, though we know they don't. Okay, the acting was pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen anything this gory, I think, since Saving Private Ryan, although someone told me to watch Saving Private Ryan again. It has been maybe 3 years, and they're like, you'll feel differently.
I would say Passion of the Christ is more gory than Saving Private Ryan.
I feel like Mel Gibson
Mel Gibson's. I feel like Mel Gibson
I don't want to
has.
award him anything
I
either.
think
just
Mel Gibson has
by
cornered
him.
the market on marketable, watchable,
Gore?
talked about gore.
Okay, right on.
Gratuitous would be another word you'd use.
Yeah, I Kenneth Longhorn, who did Manchester by the Sea, again, valiant effort. I didn't think you were going to win Best Picture.
Can he win Best Director Cameo? Because that was amazing.
Wait, where was his cameo? I missed it.
The one scene right outside the attorney's office in Manchester by the Sea, where he is pretty much it's dropped on his lap. I watched it this morning. It was pretty much dropped on the Casey Affleck character's lap that he has to look after this kid now.
Yeah.
And he walks him to the car, and they're talking about, well, we got to sell the boat. We're moving to Boston, so we got to sell the house, like this and that and this and that. And he was like, well, don't I get a say? And he's like, no, you're 16. You don't get a say. And he rightfully stands up for himself, to which Casey Affleck was like, do you want me to beat you down right now? And there was just some dude walking by who was like, oh, great parenting, bro.
That's the director?
And that was Kenneth Lonergan.
First of all, yes, he should get, yes.
Because that's next level Hitchcock. Whereas Hitchcock would never say words in his own film. This is what our world needs from a director cameo.
Dennis Villanueva, who did Arrival, again, as you said, it's a great film. Cinematography was beautiful.
I think if Academy voters knew how much Arrival cost, he'd be the winner. He'd be a default winner.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, the white screen room is kind of the main sticking out point for me for Arrival. The idea of the way they showed aliens, the way they were able to do non-humanoid figurines, and usually people go to bugs to make aliens.
Yeah,
they're like, well, we'll get an antenna, and they were like, no, none of that.
They're
like,
smoke people.
Yeah.
They're squiddy smoke people.
They were like octopi.
It's amazing.
Like
and I think that kind of vision, to be able to communicate that vision of something we've never seen to a cast and crew and then make it visible and make it real and tangible is an exceptional skill. But the two people that were really debated down against was Barry Jenkins and Damien Chazelle. I was, of course, voting for Barry Jenkins. This is his first film in 8 years. It's a stunning, stunning portrait. But I was told myself I wasn't going to be upset if Damien Chazelle won, because if you look at the cinematography for that film and you know what, like, as far as timing a day out to get those shots, even with the budget that they had, even though they were working with a major studio, it's exceptional work.
I would say it was Dennis hands down. However, I think Barry Jenkins has a much bigger claim to this than the winner, Damien Chazelle. I think Damien Chazelle, this is his third film. This is his third film, Whiplash, of which, correct me if I'm wrong, was nominated for both Best Picture and Best Director.
Yes, I believe so.
Correct me if he wasn't nominated, because I know we're in the year of 10. We're in the year of more than 5. That director, that's not always a guarantee, because mathematically, but like it's his third film. He had the money came through, and like there are a lot of things to be said about La La Land. But to say, like, oh, he did a better job than the Moonlight director or the Arrival director is a hard pill to swallow. But also, he wrote it, but so did Barry Jenkins. You go back and forth on stuff like this. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And this is the stuff they want you to get it. Like, this is the minus, hopefully not faux controversy.
Yeah, here's why I give it to
created or curated controversy.
Yeah.
This is the stuff I watch the Oscars for, where it's
absolutely
like the literal debate of the 5 people you told me.
Yeah.
Like, well, what does that mean?
And here's why I think here's why I gave it to Barry Jenkins, is because he wrote the third act of Moonlight. And if you haven't seen Moonlight, prepare for small spoilers. Moonlight, the way it's dissected is it's one person's life told by 3 different characters at 3 different points during this character's life. So his youth years, his teen years, and then his early adult life. He's maybe like 25. The 25-year-old part, there's this conversation at the diner that he has with an old lover, where they're kind of catching up and everything. The play ends after they leave the diner. That's the end of the play.
I did not know that.
Barry Jenkins picked up a pen and wrote the most poignant, beautiful ending. And it's the kind of ending this playwright is fairly young. I believe he's in his early 30s, or I believe Barry Jenkins is in his mid 40s, early 50s. It comes from a perspective of somebody who's lived a while, somebody who understands, where you really are at 25, that I want to feel connected to something, and yet I'm still trying to figure out who I am. And that last scene is so heartbreaking. There's a moment where the character says, no one's ever touched me since you. Mm-hmm. And like all he wants to do is be held. And it's the most beautiful, poignant moment. And it wraps this whole film up, not in a neat bow, but it just brings it all together. And it's so perfect. I don't think there's a moment in any of the other films that really touches this moment. And because it came from the director, and then on top of that the scenes were directed so beautifully, I honestly feel like Barry Jenkins, he just earned that award.
Well, but that's also the division of labor and the controversy, but the discussion, which is, if the writing is a job and then directing is a job, those jobs are honored separately tonight. Speaking of which, writing Best Adapted Screenplay, Moonlight was nominated alongside Arrival, Fences, Lion. I have not said Hidden Fences yet.
That's good, and
gonna
hopefully
happen.
You won't.
Yeah.
No, it
Gonna
won't.
happen.
I believe in you.
Once again, I thought to be able to conceptualize something on the page that you can then get to see, like Arrival, yes, please. Fences was an adapted screenplay. It was also a posthumous nomination. Hidden Figures, Lion. Moonlight wins.
Still shocked by that. I thought Moonlight was
over La La Land, which if we're going by betting odds, 1 to 20, you would have to bet $20 to win $1 on La La Land, 8 to 1 on Moonlight. No, I'm looking at the best director stats. Never mind.
You're talking Moonlight won for Best Adapted.
Best Adapted Screenplay.
Right now? Okay.
I'm still shocked Lion didn't win. I just thought Lion was again, just as a screenplay, not as a whole film, but if you get a chance to really read and dissect these screenplays, Lion is exceptional. It leaps off the page and it demands that you finish the script, which is really hard. It's the goal of all screenwriting, but it's such a hard thing to do, to really hook someone in 5 pages. And the other scripts are really solid. I mean, Fences has won Tonys for its writing. Like it's an amazing script. And then for Moonlight, I'm happy it won. Yay, Moonlight! You deserve all of the awards. But still kind of shocked that it edged out both Lion and Hidden Figures, which is a pretty good adaptation.
Yeah.
And see, this is where I wanted to support Moonlight the most, because some of them, like director, I was very, very torn. Moonlight here for Best Adapted Screenplay is where I was rooting, because
Me too.
it's so amazing.
And the correct sportsbook odds. The sportsbooks were on your side. You would have to bet $7 to win $1. On Moonlight, everything else was to 1. The second best was Lion, then Hidden Figures, 8 to 1, 10 to 1, 40 to 1, 14 to 1, Fences, Arrival. So if you were trying to make that money, this was not the category. There were a lot of categories this night, more than I can ever remember. And I've been following the Oscars alongside sports betting and like collective wisdom for about 10, 20 years. And this is the first time I can honestly think like, wow, that wasn't like usually you'll have 3 of those a night. Like tonight we had like 6.
That's amazing.
6 or 7 of those where I'm like, nobody thought that would win.
I also feel like this is the first, like usually the controversy is surrounded by the host. This is the first year where I really feel like the wins and losses are the highlight of the drama and the controversy. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and I think they did a good enough job tonight without whatever happened at Best Picture. That just some of the upsets or the surprises that happened tonight were enough for your base, if you will, your base audience, for the 3 of us to really like, wow, I didn't think this would happen or that happened, or like Fantastic Beasts, I agree, but what? But we had to start at the top because of how they did things tonight, how things went down tonight.
I think also what's interesting about this year in particular is last year, and Steve and I did the Oscar show for AfterBuzz last year too. Last year we had the Oscars So White controversy and the big hashtag. And this year, like even just looking at our adapted screenplay list, like look at this really great diversity. So now instead of having just a simple discussion about like, okay, the films were good, but what else do we have? I feel like we can debate some of these things better because we have a more well-rounded list of films to look at. We're not looking at something that's all identical.
Yeah, we've certainly improved our picks.
We expanded the Oscar genre, if we will.
Yes, absolutely.
If you will. The Oscar genre now includes people of all colors.
What?
Who knew?
People of
Crazy.
some colors. We've got a lot of black people, but
No Asians.
Yeah,
Where are the Asian people?
Well,
Fair
we've got
India,
Dev
Lion.
Patel.
We haven't let
Yeah,
India.
but it would be nice to see even more diversity, and I don't mean just in like, because this is like a lot of Black Americans, which yay, but also you've got a whole like you have immigrant stories, you have just from separate cultures, so there's still a lot more diversity to be included, but we have made great strides since last year. And no matter what you think of the nominees this year, there's a lot to debate.
Yes, which is why I love doing this show.
Me too.
Yeah.
We're on writing. Let's go to Best Original Screenplay for writing. Those nominees were Hell or High Water, La La Land, The Lobster, Manchester by the Sea, and 20th Century Woman. Let's be honest. Have either of you seen 20th Century Woman?
That one I did not see.
And I'm not trying to be a hacky Jimmy Fallon. No, I said it right. Jimmy Kimmel-esque. Jimmy Kimmel-esque, where like he had 2 jokes in the monologue, too many, about like I've not seen your film. On like a Best Picture nominee, and like there's a level of professionalism to me that I can't wrap my head around. I'm like, but you're hosting the Oscars though.
Hopefully you saw them.
Or at least pretend. You don't have to even see them. You're not deciding the awards. Just don't talk about it.
Whereas 20th Century Woman is where you place that joke of like, let's be real, none of you saw this. I'm sure it was wonderful. None of you read this. Well, unless you were a screenwriter, but that's different. I thought The Lobster was a delightful film that didn't get as much love.
No,
I'm still I really thought The Lobster could be the upset this year because in watching it reminded me so much of In Bruges and its weird offbeatness that still somehow made sense and worked. I was rooting for The Lobster to win in this category, and then if it didn't, I wanted Hell or High Water to win. Hell or High Water, y'all, if you haven't seen the movie, I just so strongly recommend you do. Not just because it flips the idea of the retired police person. You get at the beginning, like, I'm too old for this.
Yep.
And the whole time you're like, I know exactly how this is going to end. And then they shock you and it doesn't end like that at all. And it's brilliant. But on top of that, if you've ever visited the South or if you're from the South, they encapsulate that culture so well. There's a waitress. Guys, the writing in that scene is so phenomenal. It's so good. Either The Lobster or Hell or High Water could have won, and I would have been really happy.
Although a movie like The Lobster or Hell or High Water, the honor is being nominated.
That is true.
Because if you look at it by the odds, it's 20th Century Woman, then The Lobster, then Hell or High Water. And then it's 4-6 for La La Land, so a little more than 1-1, and then less than that, 2-1, or 1-2. So you bet $2 to win $1 on Manchester by the Sea. It's all but a lock that it's Manchester by the Sea, and it was.
Yeah, I guess, whatever.
Okay, I can't follow the betting, but in this category, I would have rooted for La La Land, and that's because, while I didn't think they deserved all of 14 of their nominations or even all 7 of their awards, this is a category where I think they were deserving. I thought it was a beautiful script, and I thought that I loved that the story was not just... I know people felt like it was different ways, and if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry, slight spoilers, but it didn't feel sad to me. It felt reflective of we all make different choices in life, and it's not to say our other choices are bad. It's just
about Manchester or La La Land?
No, La La Land. I'm telling you, this is why I loved it. And so I liked that it wasn't looking back and saying you made the wrong choice, that it's just like, this is the other road, and it's good too. And sometimes we look back longingly at the choices we didn't make. So I loved La La Land for that.
I thought... Of all the nominations and wins that La La Land had tonight, I thought this was the most fitting, because it is, for better or worse, the most original thing we saw this year.
La La Land? The little homage to classic Hollywood films?
In modern time.
The most original? Moonlight was most original.
I can't walk that back.
And they weren't even original.
No, because it's an adaptation, because it's a play. To me,
I can't walk that back. I thought La La Land was... No, I'm not going to walk that back. I'm just going to realize I may have...
screenplay.
No, you should stand up for it if you like it. If we're going to look
at most... Like, I can understand where some people were like, no, I thought it was the best script for... but the category is best original, and to me, original should stand out as like something we've never seen before.
Although original means you wrote it yourself. You wrote it without a base.
But I also feel like The Lobster is the most... original, like it's
actually the more I think about it,
most like telling a story that you haven't read before. It looked at love, like it bothered my friends who are in love. Watch this movie with a couple and then watch it with single people. Very different reactions. Hilarious. Like the couples were like, oh, I don't like this. Is so disturbing, and I feel very upset. Whereas the single people were like, no, I get it.
No,
this is what love looks like. This is the exact picture.
Well, but this is what it looks. This is how I feel in my own society.
Yes, exactly. And like, I thought that was such a brilliant way to look at it.
Just because we're not literally cast out, doesn't mean we don't feel that way as single people.
But I can do whatever I want, so it's good.
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, talking about this and interpreting differently single versus with someone. And that's what I think is really interesting about the movies in general, because depending on our own experiences, that's of course what we bring into that. And so that's why I feel like it's so hard anyway. Like we talk about Best Picture. Well, the things that spoke to me, for instance, in some of the nominees are totally different from what spoke to you guys. And it doesn't mean that my experience is better or worse than yours. It's just that's how we can determine what's better, by what spoke to us the most and what themes stood out to us the most.
A very subjective vote.
Yes.
In the monologue, he said, reach out to someone who doesn't agree with you. So, I'm at Steve Kaufmann on Twitter, and if you do not think Arrival was the best picture of those 9... I will have an honest dialogue with you as a human.
That seems reasonable.
That's an incredibly reasonable statement and request of what did you not like about Arrival?
Well, Art Master Austin Prophet wants to know if we can explain the ending of Arrival, and I don't know if we quite can with this time, but I would love to explain it, and I know Steve is also brilliant, loves this movie, so yes, reach out to us and we will explain the ending, because
I can explain it in one sentence. Time is a flat circle.
Well,
so if you go back and you just watch the movie in a circular motion, you will understand it. It becomes very clear really fast what's happening.
There's
Basically, tweet us.
Yes, please.
We
We
would
have-
love
They
to
have a lot more to say. All you
we
know
all
is
have
Sounds
our.
of Black
We would
Widow.
love to discuss
but
our rival.
that can be confusing. I think there was a character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last season who explained the fourth dimension that I think made the most sense to me for this film, which is we're three-dimensional beings. We can't see the fourth dimension. If the fourth dimension is time, if a being can see the fourth dimension, we literally won't understand their language or their words or how they look at you and see your whole life.
So,
And you can't understand that because you're a three-dimensional being. We're gonna move on because I feel like
Hi, MK Windsor, you're adorable. Sorry.
we're gonna move on to best original song.
okay.
This was of the 14 nominations that La La Land had. 2 of them were in this nomination, and I heard at least 3 people this morning, whether they be radio DJs or internet hosts, say, "Will La La Land go 14-0?"
No.
No, they won't. They
That
were
would have
nomi-
been like
they were-
some sort of miracle.
Well, that
Oscar
would've-
miracle.
That would have been an Oscar tie, which don't happen because they were nominated twice for one
But
category.
we can't do it.
You win once.
Yeah.
So
It must be
13-0, 13-0 was the best they could,
do, yes.
unless Steve Harvey or Warren Beatty were giving out the award for best original song. Best original song was Audition from La La Land, which I liked more than City of Stars from La La Land. Can't Stop the Feeling from Trolls, which was performed up top by Justin Timberlake in this incredible.
Just the most average of pop songs. The
Yes.
performance was incredible. I liked the way that everybody was dressed up, and so it was kind of hard to tell at first what was happening. And
It
then you're
was
like,
fun.
oh, they're in the bit. It's cute.
Did anybody else want Jimmy Kimmel to be dancing off beat to that
Do
song,
his
and
little
that's how
white man
that's how they
dance?
introduce him?
I was at the party. I didn't see it, but I was rooting for Moana, you guys. I don't know.
How Far I'll Go by Moana.
Just in general, why didn't people love Moana more? It makes me so
I
sad.
agree with you, and this would have made Lin-Manuel Miranda the youngest EGOT winner ever, which is when you win an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony. And that's why I was mostly, well, not just that, I really felt it was a stronger song overall, like composition-wise, feelings-wise. Guys, I was crying in the theater at this. There's no joke. Whereas I love the song City of Lights, but I'm not quite sure if it's a best song. Like, it's just a very simple
Can I
melody.
point out
It's
that
super cute.
Can I point out that John Legend's performance of both of those songs was a lot better than the film?
Was it? I see. This is the one part of the show I missed was John
Legend
performance.
performed pretty much a medley of City of Stars and the Audition, and I enjoyed it as a song way more from John Legend, ripped away from the actual film.
Man, I'm gonna have to watch this now.
I didn't like La La Land, and I've been very quiet.
I feel you're trying to hold back your disdain.
No, we're past Best Picture. I can't even.
liked it.
I've successfully moved past it, but
I almost wish La La Land would have won so I could have seen you just pop off on it. Like, I feel like you would have ranted and raved a little bit if it had won and come here.
agreed. But we had
But we don't get
way
that.
bigger things to talk about on Best Picture than the actual Best Picture. City of Stars wins.
Okay.
Wasn't a big shocker to anybody.
No.
So, yeah, Best Original Song. I will want to point out that for many years, Best Original Song did not have 5 full nominees. And this year it
Yeah.
does.
Well, 2 from the same movie. And it was
Still-
a musical.
Still,
Yeah.
last year, or like in the past 5 years, I think this is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in the past 5 years, this is the first time it's been a full 5 Best Song category.
This certainly sounds about right. And I
'Cause-
still feel like there's some gimmies in here. Like, Can't Stop the Feeling. Y'all really thought it was going to be an Oscar-winning song? I don't think so.
They thought Happy would be an Oscar-winning song.
Okay, Happy is amazing. Happy has a 24-hour music video. Don't start me on Pharrell Williams. I'm obsessed.
Clearly, there's some passion for Happy
I
here.
have some thoughts
Versus-
about Pharrell Williams.
Versus Let It Go.
Let It Go was terrible, and I would have burned that song to the ground if I could have.
Me too.
What an awful song.
I think
It's
now's
not
a good
even
time
in the
to
top
move-
20 of Disney songs. Like, if you were to rate all
No,
Disney
it's
songs,
not.
it would be way at the bottom. It's terrible.
So-
I agree. And
I don't
all she
know.
does is shout.
I literally am friends with like 20,000 music teachers, and they were all like, I don't even know what's happening. Sorry, we've lost it.
Sorry,
We're back.
I made the initial mistake by bringing up a film that did not happen in 2016. However, we're going to move on to Best Original Score. Let's be real. If you're a musical nominated for Best Picture,
You're going to win Best Score.
you have the best score.
It's done, period. End of story.
I will say Jackie had an incredible score. I will say Lion had an incredible score. I will say Moonlight had an incredible score. I would say Passengers had an incredible score had I seen it. I would have seen it had I thought it would nominate for Best Picture.
It's an awful film.
Yeah. Wait, Passengers?
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as people said, I thought. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad.
It looked middle of the road.
It was fine.
Like, this wasn't a big shocker to
beautiful
anybody.
production design, and I
Yes.
wish it had been nominated for that. Because
It was.
It's one of some of the best set pieces I've ever seen. But my God, what an awful story.
But it was nominated for Best Production Design, I
Was
believe.
it? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Am I wrong? I thought it was.
I believe it was. We'll get there.
Yeah, but La La Land, I well earned. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Well
a
earned,
fun,
like, this is the one where it wins. It's supposed to win. The musical should win a Best Original Score.
you did it.
Sound
Good for you.
mixing, sound editing, costuming? I don't know. Original score? Yes.
Okay.
That was an original score.
It was.
You scored a whole film, including musicals. Like, it's actually kind of an unfair advantage.
Also, Damien Chazelle's old college roommate did the score. I just feel like this is a win for both of them. They're really cute. They've been working together for a long
I agree.
time, and I'm glad he won this award.
I'm glad, too. We can jump on to Best Cinematography now.
Let's
which,
do it.
speaking, we talk a lot about Oscar snubs and then Oscar makeups and this and that and this and that. You can't tell that story without talking about Martin Scorsese.
You cannot.
Martin Scorsese directed Silence, which only had, correct me if I'm wrong, one nomination tonight, which was here
is
in Best
insane.
Cinematography. I haven't seen it yet. I would imagine it was shot well. It's Martin Scorsese.
It's beautiful.
Also in Best Cinematography is Arrival, La La Land, Lion, and
Here's
Moonlight.
where I wanted to give Arrival an award. Here's where I was like, look, it's time. Remind me the name of the director, or the cinematographer for Arrival. It's, gosh, she's doing the Han Solo movie next.
Ooh.
God,
We
I can't
should
remember
all
his
know
name.
this person's
He is
name.
an amazing cinematographer. He shoots some of the best. Like, I have a real penchant for how you shoot skin, and I don't mean just tones, but a lot of times you'll see greens pop up in cinematographer stuff, which is hideous and ugly. He knows how to light all types of skin so that they're just luminescent on the screen. The way, and again, I think I mentioned it at the top of the show, but if you look at Arrival's sets, especially in the white screen room, on the walls there are dark gray and they've got these grooves in it. He went in and instead of trying to light like you normally would from outside, he's like, I'll light from inside the grooves, and stuck little LED lights meticulously in between these little lines to give this nice, very subtle, very light glow, which for me makes that whole room just, like, it just pops off the screen. Stunning work, and I feel like he got ripped off a little.
You've keyed me up for a joke many of us have on set about directors' photographies, which is, why don't you give a director of photography a cigarette? So it'll take him all day to light it.
Bit of ching.
I like that.
And Bradford Young.
Bradford Young. Yes, I'm looking forward to his work on the Han Solo project.
I'm looking forward to the Han Solo project. So La La Land wins for Best Cinematography. That's no surprise by
It's
the
not.
predictors or the experts. It's one of those things where, as on merit, you're like, well, Moonlight looked really, like, they all looked amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, see, and this is where I would have awarded Moonlight again, because, so this was actually, I do weekly movie reviews, this was actually one of the things I talked about in my review of Moonlight, was the cinematography. They had a lot of shots that I loved, where either the camera was in the center of a circle and looking out in the circular pattern, or looking in, lots of circular movement. There were some beautiful shots, like Mahershala Ali was smoking a cigarette and walking away, and you saw the smoke hit the camera from behind.
That
I thought there were
close-up of the
some-
young boy when the mother's just cursing him out,
There are
and
some
everything goes really
amazing-
foggy. They did these really amazing close-ups all throughout Moonlight, and it's gorgeous. But La La Land, you kind of figure it's going to win. They have a lot of behind-the-scenes shots of the setups they were doing, and they were pulling off like really technical shots with their lighting. You have a lot of scenes where lights will just flicker on, or for example, the audition scene where it's dark and then bright and then dark and then bright again. Like they did a lot of technical stuff. The pool scene at the top with the camera that's like rigged to go this way and then back and then flip up.
And, like, there was a lot of one-take stuff there. Like, I'm not
Yes.
going to discount anyone in this. In this, I just do think, and I've exhausted this point. I think Arrival was just better on a lot of different categories, including this one. But La La Land won. It was no shocker. There were some shockers. This
not
was
a
not
shocker.
it. We should jump into the short world. Let's go with short film live action.
I feel bad because I don't think I've seen any of the shorts.
I've only seen the Pixar short.
I think we've all
Yes.
seen. I think we've all seen.
went with Moana.
We've all seen the Pixar short. I know that the best animated short, or the one that was also nominated.
you're right,
Pearl.
wrong. Okay.
I know Pearl was shot in 360, and I love 360 in VR,
Mm-hmm.
like cutting edge technology. And I love something like that to get nominated. However, I do think it was between a bunch of films most of us have not seen.
Mm-hmm.
Animus Interieurs. Please correct my French later. La Femme et les TGV, Silent Nights, Sing, Time Code. Time Code was a comedy.
Time Code was amazing. I apologize. I did see that they showed it at my school. Stunning, stunning film. A little upset it didn't win, but that's because it's the only one I saw.
Sing wins. This was a race, as it usually is, because nobody really has seen these films, and most Oscar voters haven't seen these films. They don't know.
Oh, sad.
Let's jump into Best Documentary Short Subject. It was between Extremis, 4.1 Miles, Joe's Violin, Watani, My Homeland, and The White Helmets. The White Helmets is on Netflix. I think it was the odds-on favorite, and it won.
And great speech from the people. I like that they had the standing ovation. And it's always great to see documentary film winners win because they're so connected to their subjects who are real people. And so it means more than just their win. It means that some average person or persons is getting their incredible, exceptional story told. And so it was exciting to see these guys win.
We're just gonna run through some. A couple movies you haven't heard of tonight, like Deepwater Horizon or Doctor Strange, were nominated for visual effects.
Wait, Doctor Strange, was that? No,
Doctor Strange was nominated for visual effects alongside The Jungle Book. Kubo and the Two Strings, which was also nominated for Best Animated Feature, which makes a very funny, interesting dynamic of how can you be nominated for the animated feature and visual effects. Also, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. The Jungle Book won.
Shocking no one.
Loved The Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Loved that this happened.
One kid acting with like 18, like nobody's, like no one was there to be there.
Literal lack of people.
Yes, it's crazy good.
I think we're talking pure merit of just the job of director, regardless of the overall film and what people thought of it or think of it or think of it. I think Jon Favreau for The Jungle Book should be involved in the top 10 conversation.
Absolutely.
Of one of the best directing jobs of the year.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was literally a green and blue stage in downtown Los Angeles. And it was him and, like, one kid and then, like, a bunch of
like
voices.
an 8-year-old kid who hasn't been acting for very long. And to convince me that there's an entire jungle there, you did it, bro. It was amazing.
He nailed it.
Yeah, not so much in my book.
Really?
Like, I thought visual effects, yes, but I didn't love Jungle Book. I didn't love the kid. I hate to say it about a kid. I didn't love the kid. I didn't love the movie. I did interview Jon Favreau recently. He's really into virtual reality stuff. But
Modcap and
didn't love
because the next one up is Lion King.
He's working on Lion King and Jungle Book 2 as well.
Wait.
I can't wait for either of those. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Get James Earl Jones in the studio to record his lines
I also
now.
think, I wonder, because the line has been blurred because these categories have been the same for so long. Visual effects versus production design. When it comes to something like Jungle Book. Yes, the visual effects were amazing and believable because it was a believable giant bear. But production design
was done in a computer. It's hard, man. There's not a lot of physical construction there. But you did design it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, you could argue a film like Zootopia could win Best Production Design because the actual production design of it.
Right.
A lot of the films I'm talking about were not nominated. Arrival was nominated. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was nominated. Hail Caesar, a film I was in, was nominated. La La Land and Passengers.
Yeah.
La La Land won. Okay.
Again, surprising no one. If you talk to a lot of animators, they're convinced one day there will be no animation category because every film will have so much animated aspects to it that it would be silly to try to differentiate between them, which is a reality and a future that I look forward to greatly. As much as I love practical effects and fleshy human beings on screen, Avatar kicked open a door that says we can do anything we want.
We
and
can
it's pretty
do
exciting.
anything, and the actor will still exist, and it'll still be real emotion and real cinema. I thought Fantastic Beasts was the best production design of the year. We'll get into it when we talk about best costume, when we talk about some other stuff. Animated feature. We already talked about Kubo and the Two Strings. Moana, which I thought was wonderful.
Which obviously
My
we
Life
thought
as a
should
Zucchini, The Red Turtle, and Zootopia.
The Red Turtle's the most depressing animated film you'll ever see. Do not take your kids under 12 to watch it.
That's fair. I thought Zootopia should have been nominated for Best Picture. If only to shine a light on these other 4 and then give something like Storks a chance. And because I thought it was, at the moment I watched it, it was the best film I had seen up to that point. And like it still breaks a top 20, if not a top 10 list for most critics. Like, it was a wonderful film.
It was a fun film that is on Netflix, and so I've watched it a bunch. Like, whenever I'm like a little upset, I'm gonna just pop in Zootopia. And it is a nice feel-good movie. I like the story, but for me, it's hands down Moana. Mostly because for me, great animated films are great animated musicals. I will almost always choose an animated musical over every other animated film. And the music is so fun and catchy, and it's so bright. And then, oh my gosh, the goddess. The scenes with her are visually stunning. And Zootopia just didn't have those moments for me. The cityscape was cool to look at, but
compared to some of this other stuff, no.
Moana, you guys, was amazing. Like, I cannot say enough good things about Moana.
Okay.
And apparently we don't have a lot of time to talk about Moana, but it was just fabulous. I think that it is a movie that Disney can be proud of, and that women and young girls should be proud of. I loved it.
Sound editing and sound mixing got split for the first time in a very long time. OJ Made in America won Best Documentary, partially because it was 4 documentaries.
It was amazing.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them won for Best Costume because they thought that's what production design was. Suicide Squad for makeup and hairstyling.
Flip a table, I will never acknowledge that this won an Oscar, ever. Ever, I don't care.
Let the sentence sink into your brain.
No.
Academy Award winning film.
No.
Suicide Squad.
No.
You guys, I thought Jared Leto was amazing. I feel like his role as the Joker is the most divided. I know. I know.
Like this.
And some people agree, some people don't. That's the beauty of movies. I thought he was phenomenal. Has nothing to do with the category they actually won. But
I think 2 travesties happened to makeup and hairstyling tonight. One of which they only had 3 nominees instead of the traditional 5.
Why?
The other of which, Suicide Squad, guys.
Over Star Trek, which had 50 original alien designs. Like,
we should end on a positive note, guys.
I'm surprised I'm not alone on this side of the table after my comment that I like Jared Leto.
We should end on a positive note. I spent all night talking about Arrival and how it wasn't getting its due. Sound editing. Arrival had proper sound editing.
It sure did.
La La Land had terrible sound editing, and it didn't win.
That's
sound
good.
mixing. Sorry, sound mixing as well. And I think that's a good place to end it. That Arrival is a great film. La La Land won most of the nominees, and no one's going to talk about any of that. Everyone is going to talk about the Steve Harvey of it all, the Warren Beatty of it all, the 2 envelopes of it all. And by this time tomorrow, we will have a much bigger understanding of what exactly happened.
I look forward to reading the hot takes in the morning.
I'll be up a little late tonight, kind of sifting through what I can know. I know some people at that theater. I'll text them. In the meantime, starting to my far left, Zoe, where can the people find you on the Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealZoeHewitt. That's ZoeHewitt. You can also find me on YouTube, where I do a weekly movie analysis show. And you can find me here at AfterBuzz on Monday nights, heading our Shark Tank After Show panel.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, and every week at blackgirlnerds.com. I'll be in Las Vegas doing Klexicon this weekend, so if you're over there, drop by and say hey. I'll be at the Black Girl Nerds booth, as well as hosting 3 separate panels. You can find me Wednesdays doing The Magicians, which is like my favorite show on TV. Sundays, where I host Star Wars Rebels, which is always a really good time, so check it out.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That's Kaufmann. I do not have nearly that much to promote. I will be doing the finale of Suits this Wednesday here at AfterBuzz TV. I also do a lot of other cool stuff. I tweet about it regularly, so look out for that. Thank you all so much for joining us here for the Academy Awards, and we'll see you at the movies.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.